Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into some PvP with a new meta team tier list for you guys to break down what's happening within each individual color and the offensive classes that are ruling the roost in PvP and Pirate Rumble at the moment. Now, in today's video, I am going to be breaking down each particular color individually, showcasing sort of the meta team, like the best team of that particular color, and then a team that works with advantageous typing, so strength versus dex, dex versus quick, quick versus strength, all that kind of fun stuff for you guys, and kind of giving you guys some ideas on what other units you could possibly bring to match out these particular teams. Now, just be mindful, these teams are going to show some more end game and some high echelons of characters, and if you see these characters on banners, you probably want to chase for them, especially if you guys do like PvP. Now, if you are newer to PvP, just remember that actual level of the character, their sockets, potential abilities, special level, limit break abilities, all of that kind of stuff will affect directly to their PvP stats and how much damage they're outputting on top of maxing out their PvP abilities. But if you guys have any ideas, any changes, let me know in the comment section below. Remember, this is more my sort of personal opinion, as well as talking to some of the top 10 players in PvP Championship, not only at the moment, but consistently, and some of those higher alliances as well. So, like I said, if you have any differences, let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. With that said, let's dive into some meta PvP teams. Alright, so starting off with strength, this top team here is basically the meta team that you guys would normally take if you were going up against anything. Now, obviously, units are going to change depending on what you're going up against. That is basically how PvP works, but this top team is more of the meta strength team that you will stereotypically use if you were just farming out PvP, sort of trying to rank from, say, 1,000 to 10 or 10,000 to 5,000, and just sort of having a very, very good strength team ruling the roost. Now, strength, in my opinion, are the second best team in the game, and this particular team here is very, very good. It tears through so much. Luffy is an absolute beast, hitting 2 times that goes through defense for 1.5 times his attack, up to 3 times, so you're hitting basically 6 units. Law's defense, even though you aren't running a lot of slashes here, is very, very nice. And then the new Shinobu and Raizo is actually an interesting one. These guys are very underrated, and a lot of people don't know too much about them, but are an incredibly strong unit, not only for shooters, but for the strength team. Whenever they take damage, they apply a level 1 defense buff to the entire team. Now, their passive only works for shooters, but that doesn't matter too much. Because they're a slasher, they get the extra law buff. They're buffing level 4 defense for the entire team. And then with Luffy and Kaido, you can output so much damage. Kaido is doing fixed damage to all enemies in a large range, 4 times his attack in a large range, and then if you're below 50% HP on just Kaido himself, he will ignore defense to one enemy and just basically take them out. Then you got Jack for all the defense that he's giving, the HP cuts, rainbow buff. He's just a phenomenal character. As for the bench, you have King. King's exceptionally comes in. He's buffing stuff like Luffy. And then Cracker can go through defense as well. And then Sandersonia's just a really good nuker. So this particular top strength team, it's very, very good. A lot of the top 10 players are using it right now to sort of just farm out against a lot of other teams. However, another really good option for you guys that you guys can bring is actually Kobe. Now, if you have Captain Kobe, you can definitely run something like him. He works exceptionally well at giving the cooldowns for Luffy. You're getting stuff like CD reduction with his specials. That's what I just said, but he gives a shield as well if you're below a certain level, and he gives haste, so you can bring Luffy and Kaido forward and just absolutely tear through teams. You can take off Jack, use the new Shinobi unit as well for the defense buff instead. That new Shinobi unit's giving action bind as well, so if you guys are looking for like something that's very fast, you can use Kobe, but if you're looking for something more defensive and a lot more tankier that can pretty much take down majority of teams going around, this particular build is going to be the one for you. As for versing Dex, though, utilizing the combination of Toki and Kaku works amazingly well. Now, you're keeping the damage dealers of Luffy and Kaido, and then the bulk of Jack, but Toki has the ability to nerf Dex by giving them level 5 defense down, as well as giving a very nice passive to strength. On top of that, Kaku with his level limit break is inflicting level 2 defense down to all enemies, as well as a level 6 CT reduction to Dex, which is just disgusting. Giving that level 6 reduction means you're going a lot faster. You have Toki here to give you cooldowns with her special of 15% to strength. And then when Luffy and Kaido go, you basically just mow through offense. You can use something like Cracker as well. He's also giving an attack down debuff to Dex. Run him on the bench over here. But having this sort of Sandersonia combination works well. And then King coming in to sort of supply more damage if you lose, say, Luffy or Kaido. It actually works really, really well too. So that's strength in a nutshell. In my opinion, the second best team in the game. Let's move on to Dex now. Looking at Dex, they had a very interesting inclusion, which is Green Bull. Now, I haven't had any chance to play with Green Bull. He's only been out for a day. I haven't even really looked at how he operates, but I have been told if you guys have a maxed out Green Bull, which will come over time, you can easily replace Blackbeard on the team for Green Bull. But for now, we have a level limit break 4, level 150 Blackbeard. We're going to be running Blackbeard. And this particular team that you guys see at the top here is more of that meta Dex team that kind of goes up against a lot of stuff that isn't Quick. Now, it still works against Quick, but obviously running Silvermask and Dalton, they're going to help you out a lot. But Big Mom, she has actually become the key to the Dex team for me. It used to be Luffy, but now it's more Olin. Olin can halve stats and then does 3.4 times her attack in a large sideways range, which is just incredibly strong. Any unit that can halve stats is automatically going to find a way on the team for me, especially when it's the damage is hitting the same as what the half stats are getting hit by. So you're basically guaranteeing Big Mom to hit the units that are taking that half stats. On top of that, she has level 5 defense and crit. She gives level 6 attack and speed. And then if you take damage, she gives herself a level 2 attack buff. She's so good. Blackbeard's a crazy HP cutter. He also gives great stats to the team. Level 10 attack to himself, level 7 to the rest, and level 2 HP to Dex. He gives level 4 defense down to strength and quick units too. Plus he does 35% HP cut and then 2,000 fixed damage. Luffy is still a disgustingly good PvP unit, even coming up on like, what, a year and a half old. He gives the revive to one Dex unit. He gives HP buff, defense buff to himself. And when you're below 50% HP, he gives 100% CD reduction to one unit. So, say for example, you're coming up against something that's crazy. They give a 50% HP cut. You have Big Mom go, give the half stats on like a front unit, kill that unit, and then Luffy goes after getting hit by 50% reduction. You give the cooldown back to Big Mom. It's just game over from there. Or you're at the back end of a fight, you give the cooldowns to Doflamingo. Doflamingo hits the 2 times attack, 1 times, 1 times in the last 30 seconds when you have that massive defense reduction. Like, it's just absolutely disgusting what can happen. Dofi's also great because he gives a buff to Driven, level 6, which is 3/5 of this team, being Blackbeard and Big Mom as well. He does so much damage output. He's a terrific unit now in the front if you are building out these types of teams. He can be thrown on pretty much any bench at the back end of a fight, but for this team, he works great in the offensive lineup. On top of that, with level limit break 5, he can actually nerf free spirit units. I don't believe it has it here in the abilities with level limit break, but he has the ability to reduce free spirit characters' defense or attack or something like that. Finally, we have Pell. We have a lot of powerhouse units here, being Pell, Blackbeard, and Big Mom. So you're getting that extra HP and defense for those units. Plus, you get the CT reduction and the level 5 attack buff being the powerhouse characters. Everyone's getting that HP and defense, and then he does a lot of damage with his special too. Finally, you got Silvermask. Silvermask's level limit break on the bench is great. He does so much damage in the last 30 seconds, but if you're versing any quick units in the front, he and Dalton can work really, really well. If you guys don't have King, though, you can chuck on like Inuyasuma, any other very good Nuka here, that'll work well. But when you are versing quick, this bottom team sort of comes in a little bit nicer. Now, there are some other options that you guys can use if you guys are missing some of these Super Sugos, or if you're missing stuff like level limit break 4 Blackbeard. Something like Cat Viper or Dogstorm, these Sugo characters here, they work exceptionally well when you are versing quick. You also have stuff like Kizaru, the character, the PvP unit. This particular Kizaru here, where are you? Why are you not coming up? Okay, is it this one, or is this one? No. What? I don't know why Kizaru's not coming up. Or maybe it's under Borsalino. Yeah, this one. Okay, it's under Borsalino. This particular unit can also nerf quick units very, very well. But the combination of Silvermask and Dalton, they do the trick for you. Plus, having Blackbeard, having Yamato works exceptionally well. And then Big Mom, again, she's that staple that just gives half stats. If you can give half stats and then have all the damage output of stuff like Silvermask and Dalton and then Yamato go, you're going to be in a really good spot. Pel's a great bench unit. Moria's another unit that can also nerf quick units. And then finally, you just got any nuker on the bench here. I'm showing King for this variation, but look, again, you have Inazuma, you have Rebecca Toy Soldier for crying out loud. You could even just use anyone that's going to do good damage at the back end. But that's Dex. In a nutshell, I think Dex needs a lot of help still. I think Big Mom is a great addition as of the recent units. And out of the 3 colors, I do think that it works much nicer than what Quick's doing and what Int's doing. But when you're comparing it to stuff like Psi and Strength, I still think that it just needs a lot of work. Happy to put it in the midpoint when it comes to the types. But let's talk about Quick. Quick needs a lot more help than what Dex and what Strength Psi definitely do. Now, it doesn't need the most help compared to, say, Int. However, it is still something that needs to be looked at. Now, we had a recent edition of Tesoro 6+. Tesoro, in my opinion, is one of my top 5 PvP units. He works so damn well in the front because he gives a lot of defense and he gives a lot of CD reduction. His level limit break and his 6+ didn't change too much from just his regular limit break expansion. But I already had this guy maxed out, limit break expanded, because I was using him so much in Rumble that he works great. And this Quick team is actually more of a Quick-driven centric team. Akainu, even though he's so good against Strength, he just works exceptional in a frontline meta team for Quick. Conjuro is a fantastic character, giving fixed damage, giving attack and defense to Driven and Strikers. This whole team is Driven, and then our bench is either Driven Striker as well. Conjuro, he's fantastic, and he's actually aged really, really well. When he first came out with Orochi, he was kind of overlooked a little bit, but he was definitely the shining grace of the two. Orochi's great, though. He can give a HP cut of 35% to 2 enemies, and he can silence units with the highest CT, which is very annoying for the opposition, but he also has a very good passive in giving level 5 HP speed and attack to Driven Powerhouse, and also nerfing the attack by level 3. This team can be quite squishy, so having that level 3 attack down debuff works great, and then Fuji giving the defense and the guard and all that sort of stuff works exceptionally well. On the bench, I was using Doflamingo as my bench unit because we have a lot of Driven here, but I was talking to some of the higher echelon players and they said just use Luffy Yamato. Luffy Yamato can give a massive buff to everyone, level 5 attack and defense, and they're special going through defense in the last 50 seconds. It's actually more valuable than having something like Doflamingo. On top of that, they are a striker unit, so Kanjuro and Tesoro both are giving that buff because you have that sort of striker tag of Yamato. Tesoro is Rainbow, but Kanjuro just gives strikers. It works quite nicely. And then you got Blue Jam, Porkami, great Driven, quick bench units. You can use something like the Monsters as another option for more powerhouse teams. You can even use something like Inazuma at the back end as well, but stereotypically you want to go with these sort of Driven options because we are running more of a Driven powerhouse striker-centric team. So that's the quick meta team, but when you are going up against Strength, it is a little bit challenging because Strength are actually just, out of the 3 primary colors, so much better than what Dex and Quick are providing. But this particular team down the bottom here can do very, very nicely against Strength. You do have to be very careful of Kaido, you do have to be very careful of Kobe, and you do have to be very careful of Luffy. Luffy being the big one. But having the combination of Akainu, Shiryu, and Sugar is doing a lot of nerfing straight to Strength off the bat. Now, Akainu gives a massive CD reduction to himself, but he's in the first 40 seconds, he does a 30% HP cut, 2 times in a large radial range, and then 1.5 to Strength. So that's a lot of damage getting funneled into Strength units. On top of that, Sugar is nerfing them so heavily by giving them level 6 CT reduction, as well as a level 9 CT reduction in the first 20 seconds. So in the first 20 seconds, they're getting a level 9 CT reduction while you're giving a level 6 to Quick. And this is just giving so much extra speed to something like Akainu for damage output. On top of that, when you use her special, she gives level 4 defense down, level 9 attack, and level 9 speed down to 3 strength units. The defense is to all units, but this just goes so well after you have something like Akainu go. So once Akainu goes, he does all of that damage, and then you have Shiryu to funnel in another 2,000 fixed damage in the first 30 seconds. As you can see, all these characters are built around the first 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. So you need to be going very, very fast. But with the combination of Sugar, Akainu giving himself the CT reduction, Shiryu giving level 3 CT reduction, and then Tesoro giving a level 6, I believe. I think it's level 6 with level limit break. On top of his defense, his 2,000 fixed damage, which is 3,500 at level limit break 5. And then finally, you have Kuzan. Now, I actually had Izo Kiku here. You could easily run Izo Kiku as well if you want to. ideally, if you are using Izokiku, you need them to be going at the back end, so that way that 1 times attack to 2 enemies 6 times does a lot more damage, but that silence can help you out quite a bit. Now, I was talking to some of the high echelon players, they said use Kuzan, because that massive 4,000 fixed damage at level limit break 5 is a lot nicer. On top of that, he inflicts level 5 CT down, as well as level 5 defense to strength units, which means that CT reduction is going to slow the Luffy's and the Kobe's and all of that shenaniganry down a lot more. Kuzan's always going to go last too, by the way, because he's only getting the cooldown reduction from Tesoro, but being a Sai and quick buffer, he's actually buffing this entire team. Finally, the bench is just like Blue Jam, Porkami, Inazuma, all those like really good nuking units that can kind of come in and help out. You can use something like Fuji instead of Inazuma and just have like this driven powerhouse bench come in, very similar to what Smoko, Brogy, and Dory were doing for Int, and it all works out quite nicely. Overall, though, Quick definitely need help. They are sitting at like the lower end of the types when it comes to these particular teams, and Strength being so good right now, if we're talking out of the 3 primary colors, this team needs the most help. Because if you have a look up here, it's not a complete Quick team, it's more of a Quick driven build. If you're versing Strength, you bring something like Kuzan, for crying out loud, which is nuts. So this team, whilst it was very, very good once upon a time, it definitely needs some help now. Moving away from the primary colors, though, we move into Sai and Int, the 2 teams that sort of counteract each other. And with Sai, we had a recent addition, just like the Luffy on the Strength team, of Anniversary Shanks. Now, in my opinion, Anniversary Shanks is nowhere near as good as what Luffy is, but still can hold his own in a Sai Free Spirit team. Now, this particular team up the top here is what most of the endgame players are using as just a standalone meta Sai team. Running a 6-man Sai team now has actually become a lot more beneficial rather than running an 8-man. Now, what you can do is you can bring Rebecca Toy Soldier into the front over something like Law if you want to. That way, you're getting a bit more bulk, you're getting a bit more attack, and then you're debuffing slashes, and then you can use like Yasop on the final spot to bring up the level 5 of Shanks, and then you have another spot. But the downside to Sai is it does lack quite a serious bench. It doesn't have that many good bench units besides maybe Smoothie. So without that bench, you're kind of relying on Legends, and obviously with the cost, you have to sort of funnel into that. So with Sai Free Spirit, they have a lot of very good, powerful Legends, and the main one is the new 6+ Gear 5. This guy's an absolute beast. In my opinion, is the best PvP character in the game. He has 100% 100% HP revive, as well as giving level 6 attack, defense, speed, and crit to Free Spirit. Now, this whole team is Free Spirit. You have Law, which can nerf Powerhouse and Driven units, whilst they're not super common nowadays. If you go back over here to this Strength team, you have 2 Powerhouse units here. If you go back to this particular Dex team, you have a lot of Driven and Powerhouse. And if you go here, there's a lot of Driven and Powerhouse units here too. On top of that, if you look at the Int team as well, there's a lot of Driven Powerhouse there as well. Whilst there is no real Driven Powerhouse bespoke team, they pop up everywhere. And when this man gets a 6+ man, it's going to be so scary. But not only does he debuff those particular classes, he actually gives a level 6 CT buff to Sai. Now, because of this, you don't need to run something for Shanks. Shanks' special is so good, you want that CT buff for him that he can get in his passive, but there's just no unit that kind of slides in on the team that sort of gives this to him, and as well as buffing the team. Now, I usually use that free-to-play Yasop. This particular Yasop here from the Fortnite, this one here, he's literally just on the team purely to get Shanks' passive up. But using Law allows you to get fixed damage, allows you to remove silence, paralysis, action bind, all of that fun stuff, as well as do fixed damage and give that CD reduction. Odin is an absolute demon on Free Spirit side. Everyone knows how good Odin is. Action binding is so annoying for their opposition. He's passive, giving level 6 attack and HP, and then level 3 defense up to Sai units. It's just so good, but you do need majority of the team to be either Sai or Free Spirit or combination of both. He can do a lot of damage as well and gives level 7 attack buff to Free Spirit. So very, very good unit. And then finally, Yamato, she can do half stats. She's so good. Very, very nice. But I have seen a lot of people replacing Yamato nowadays with something like Kuzan because the fixed damage is great. But half stats is still one of the most broken abilities in PvP. And then if you have something like Shanks doing all of his damage here, giving 3.5 times that attack to all enemies in a large radial range, and then after 60 seconds, he does another 3.2 times his attack, you can just do some crazy things if the enemy has half stats. If we're looking at more versing Int or versing more like a Driven Powerhouse meta, as I've been sort of saying, this bottom team is more against sort of int. We did bring in something like Kuzan, and we did bring in, obviously, Wano Law being there as well. Odin's still so good because most of this team is free spirit, but Kuzan has that ability to give CT reduction to int characters, plus the fixed damage is so damn nice. Now, if you want to, you can easily bring something like Shanks on the team as well, and then you can, like, drop off this free-to-play Shanks, push Rebecca Toy Soldier to the back, and then just sort of like we're doing up here. But I did want to include an 8-man team here somewhere, and these characters can work quite nicely. There is a Colgara Noland as well, who is actually exceptional with their level limit break at taking down int-driven powerhouse units and stuff like that. This unit can work really well if you have a level limit break 4, but not something that I've really tested too much because, like I said, driven powerhouse, they don't sort of hang around too much, and with Law, you're in a really, really good spot anyway. But when taking on int, this team can actually do really, really nicely. This Shanks on the bench is really, really good. He works exceptionally well because he can give fixed damage, plus he's a 20 cost unit now. He does some healing as well, and then he does another fixed damage shot as well, so very, very good unit. And then finally, Gear 5. I've included 6-star Gear 5 here just because I wanted to make note, if you are running a side team, just use any Gear 5. If you have the 6-star Gear 5 or the 6+ Gear 5, both of them are still disgustingly good. Obviously, 6+ is a little bit better, but like that doesn't take away for how good regular 6-star Luffy is. So, Sai are in a really, really good spot. I do think they're probably the second best when it comes to color-centric teams. Overall, I think they are probably the third best team in the game. And you could do some really, really cool stuff with Sai because they have a lot of options when it comes to legends that are very, very powerful. Namely, something like Gear 5. But their Free Spirit mantra works really, really well, and I do believe Free Spirit's the best team in the game. So let's move on to Int now. Which definitely needs the most help out of any team in the game. Int are just in such a bad spot. The top meta team, as you guys can see here, half of it is quick. It's wild. This team is more driven. It's really a driven team, if I'm completely honest with you. But unfortunately, Int doesn't really have all that much going for it in a mono Int team. Now, you can use stuff like your Rogue, and you can use stuff like Apu, all of those PvP units, but all of them are designed to just take down Sai nowadays. You do have Kid. Kid is another really, really good option if you wanted to sort of take off, say, Tesoro. You don't have Tesoro maxed out. You could easily use Super Tandem Kid, but this top team here, this driven team, it's sort of the best of what Int's got going for it. Top Music is still one of the best PvP units, but only buffs driven characters. Gives a CT buff to herself, but she can also halve stat. She lowers CT of the enemy, and she just does a lot for the team. Plus, she does a lot of damage as well. Apu is great, even if you aren't versing Sai. He does a lot of damage and then applies a level 7 attack and speed buff to your Int members. He debuffs Sai drastically. He does a bunch of damage to Sai, so if you are going up against any Sai units, you can do some good stuff there. And then you have Moria, another half stat unit. And the combination with Moria and Top Musica means that you can sort of halve stat the entire team. Tesoro is so good that you can just bring him on the team for the CD reduction, the defense. But again, if you guys have Kid and you don't have a maxed out Tesoro, you can easily just bring the Super Tandem Kid unit. He's fantastic at versing Sai as well, but he's another very, very good option if you guys are missing some of this stuff. You've also got stuff like Dory and Brogy. You could easily run them as bench units instead of Blue Gem and Porkamy, but Fuji is like a must in the front because he's just so good at bringing so much bulk. You can even run Smoker in the front if you want to and just get some more attack and lower the accuracy and all that fun stuff. But Int, like I said, as you can see here, it's lacking a lot in its actual color. But when versing Sai, it does have a lot of options going for it. Conus is the big one. Just got a level limit break 5 recently. Probably about 2-3 months ago now, actually. But has an exceptional ability to just silence Sai, action bind Sai, reduce their guard, speed, defense. They give CT, she gives CT reduction to Sai, as well as giving defense to Int units. Then you have the damage output of your Rogue, as well as Apu, going absolutely hard against Sai units, ignoring defense, doing a lot of damage. 4 times attack to 3 Sai characters, giving defense and attack. Katakuri can lower the CD reduction of Sai, their defense, gives you speed. He does fixed damage, and then he debuffs Free Spirit with his special, which is very good because Sai have a lot of Free Spirit characters. And then you have Brogy, and Brogy's an interesting one because he gives level 5 defense down to Strikers, which the Sai team normally either runs Yamato or Kuzan or both. So having the two of them so prominent on a Sai team means that Brogy can kind of go nuts here too. He also does a lot of damage. He gives HP and speed, which is great. And this team does work fairly well against Sai. The bench looks like Dory, and then Smoker, and then Doflamingo. Doflamingo is a very interesting one. He's great at sort of nerfing free spirits, like I said, with his level limit break. He does a lot of damage at the back end of the fight as well, and a lot of this team can sort of tank out till that sort of 45 to 30 second mark anyway. Have Dofi come in, absolutely just board wipe is insane. Plus, this team is very driven-centric with Katakuri, Apu, and Smoker as well. So this is when you're versing Sai. This is the meta int team. Like I said, it's definitely the lowest. It's number 5 when it comes to color teams. Honestly, when we are talking actual teams in general, like, it's maybe at the back end of like the top 10. Like, it's really struggling at the moment. They definitely need some serious help. We've had stuff like int units like Cat Viper and Shiki in PvP rare recruits, but none of them really fit the mold of what the int team is trying to do. But that doesn't mean that we can't get somewhere, because Shiki's a slasher, Cat Viper's a slasher. They're trying to mold into this int sort of slasher meta. We have Doflamingo available to us. And look, the next time I make one of these videos, who knows? Int will hopefully be in a better spot, and we won't even be talking about Driven at all. Moving on to one of my favorite teams now, Slashers. Now, Slashers I have in my top 5 best teams. Whether you have them 4th, whether you have them 5th, it's up to you. For me, I personally have them 4th. But look, it's really just the Roger Whitebeard show. Roger Whitebeard's addition to PvP just has shaken up the meta in so many drastic ways. This unit is so freaking good on Slasher teams, on Striker teams, on Rainbow teams. You just want to chuck this guy on. And since Gear 5 6 Plus has finally taken the throne of best PvP unit in the game, this unit's honestly still not that far behind. They do basically just kill 2 units, if I'm honest. They do 2 times their attack that ignore defense for 2 enemies after doing a 30% HP cut. They buff level 6 attack Slashers, level 5 HP and attack as their passive, and then they give Int and Psi a buff. Now, unfortunately, they're a very wonky unit in the sense that they buff Int and Psi, but they're not Int and Psi themselves because they're a dual unit. They're typeless in PvP, but they do exceptionally well without that. And as you can see, even without like Psi and Int on the team, just what they bring is so very valuable. Now, you can do some other stuff here and run some like faster teams. You could take off this Zoro and you could run something like Kizaru, or if it comes up as Borsellino, the 6 plus of this unit, the Borsellino unit. You could easily, to make the team more faster, this one right here. He is a Psi unit, so he's getting more buffs from Roger Whitebeard. You also have the Doflamingo, the Slasher Doflamingo, who's an int character. So you can do some stuff there. And as I was saying in the int part, you have this new Cat Viper. He is an int slasher as well. You could probably do some stuff with him moving forward. And then you also have Shiki as well. So whilst the Roger Whitebeard dual unit does buff these slasher int slasher Psi units, you really don't need them to be super effective. The K-Dad and Odin combination is still so damn powerful in PvP. It was the Roger Odin show, but now it's the K-Dad Odin show because of Roger Whitebeard being a thing. K-Dad got a recent buff as well as Zoro that allows you to just absolutely decimate units. You attack 5 units on with their special that just does so much damage. 2.5 times the attack, 5 times to 1 enemy. They first then lower defense for 2 enemies with the highest HP for 20 seconds. If Odin's on the team, they give level 5 attack, level 5 defense to Slashers, and then their passive is level 5 defense as well. Odin gives cooldown reductions to Slashers as well as attack buffing, HP buffing, and speed buffing to strength. So K-Dad and Odin are getting a lot of the buffs here. Cracker is giving CD reduction to Slashers and Powerhouse with his level limit break and his 6+. He's just doing so much for the team. When you're below 50%, he reduces 24% of the CT to himself, so that way he can pop off a lot of damage as well. And then finally, I like to use Zoro. Now, the combination of Zoro and Roger Whitebeard, in my opinion, works exceptionally well because Roger Whitebeard and then Zoro will literally just kill 3 enemies no matter what. So if you're coming up against like strength teams of Kaidos and Luffy's and stuff like that, you have a higher chance of binking off the units that make the team so strong. But a lot of people like to run the Redhead Pirates. And look, I'm not against it because the Redhead Pirates are one of the best PvP units in the game. They give level 10 defense after 70 seconds and using their special. They give a level 5 HP buff to Slasher, so they make you more bulky. They give defense, they give attack. They give a 23%, I think it's higher actually with their level limit break. They give a massive HP cut and attack and defense, which is great. And then you also have Roger Whitebeard giving the HP. And then all the other units on the team are doing so much damage anyway that HP cut will bring them down to a level where you can just kill. So they're a great unit to use if you guys don't have some of these anniversary exclusive characters, or if you are looking for more HP cuts rather than just straight up damage. Anyway, next we have Sasaki on the bench. You can just run any slasher here. That will work quite well. Anyone like Sasaki, anyone like Kogar Noland, Inuyasuma, like, it doesn't even have to be slasher to work. You can run King if you really want to as well. So this slasher team is my go-to slasher team, but like I said, Red Hair Pirates can work too. Or you can build out more of a chunky sort of team and make it a lot more bulky, a lot more healy, a lot more defensive with these slasher options of Neko Inu, Bardo Cavendish, and Carrot Wonder. Again, you have the damage output of Roger Whitebeard, and this is more of your Stallier setup, where you're allowing these characters sort of HP cut, and then these other characters to sort of finish it off after healing and stuff like that too. So slashers, they're in a really, really good spot. If they just get like a crazy PvP unit that can send them to the realm, they're going to be doing a lot of things. But a lot of people like strikers more. And look, I understand why. Strikers just have a lot more diversity. They have a lot more options when it comes to building out teams, but stereotypically this top team is more of your meta-based team. Tesoro is a must, Roger Whitebeard is a must, and Jack is honestly a must. And then you can do some other stuff with like Hina and Marigold and Kanjuro. You have Sasaki. You can use a lot of these PvP rare recruits to build out a team, but with Kuzan being so good as well and having fixed damage, this particular team at the top here does seem to see a lot more play. If you guys don't have Kanjuro, you can easily use Hina on the team over Kanjuro, and that way you're getting another buff from Roger Whitebeard. That works out quite nicely. If you guys are missing stuff like Kuzan himself, you can either run Hina in the front and then bring like Luffy Yamato on the bench and do some fun stuff there, because strikers, they just have a lot of options. Jack is a staple though. He's great at doing HP cuts. He's great at giving you defense. Then you have fixed damage from Tesoro, which is more defense, and then Roger Whitebeard, which is always going to bink 2 units, which works quite well. Down here we have more of a strength-centric builds, a strength-driven kind of setup. Just another option that you can use with something like Kid, and then use Sasaki in the front. If you guys are missing stuff like level limit break 4. Kuzan, if you guys don't have Tesoro, you could easily replace Tesoro with like Luffy Yamato in the front. That's something that a lot of people like to do. And that works out quite well as well. But these striker teams, like I said, in my opinion, has dropped off since it being super prevalent. But for myself, it's still in the top 5. It's the team that shouldn't work, but it does. And look, it just moves very, very nicely with the amount of options it has in terms of PvP rare recruits. Finally, we have the best team in the game, in my opinion, the number 1 team being Free Spirit. Now, Free Spirit have just been on the up and up and up and up and up. Now, it used to always be Psy Free Spirit. Everyone used to talk about Psy Free Spirit, Psy this, Psy that, Psy this. With Odin and Yamato and then Straw Hat Crew being a thing. But with Anniversary coming around and Luffy, Yamato, Sanji, Zoro, and then Gear 5, the Free Spirit team has just gone absolute ballistic. And not only do we have a lot of good exclusive characters in Super Sugos, but Nami Karina, one of the newer legends in the game, has sent this team to a whole nother realm. But the staples in the middle are, you have Luffy, the 6+ Luffy. Now, obviously you do need Gear 5 to be 6+ for this to work. But if you guys don't, you can just use Luffy, Yamato. They are just still an exceptional unit. But having the combination of Luffy and Zoro with their revives means that when you go up against stuff like King and Kid and Roger Whitebeard, even Luffy Yamato's in the back end of fights, and you still have the revives under your belt, you can basically survive to the point where those big killing shots don't mean too much. They do struggle, obviously, against like the new Luffy, the Anniversary Gear 5 Film Red Luffy, but that revive goes so well. Also, all the stats of level 6 attack, defense, speed, and crit work really, really well. You do 5,000 fixed damage and then 1 massive 2x attack that ignores defense, so the highest defense enemy. Works just so damn well. Sanji's awesome. He puts up a shield to himself. He gives level 5 attack and speed if you have a Luffy on the team. He gives level 6 speed and HP. He gives a 30% reduction to CT for Free Spirit characters when you have a Luffy on the team. And he can do a lot of damage 3 times as well. Plus, giving a nice level 6 speed, attack, and defensive buff. That speed that you guys get after you use some of these specials goes through the absolute goddamn moon. Zoro is an absolute demon. He has that revive at 50% like I spoke about. He gives defense and guard and HP, so he's very bulky. Plus, he gives level 5 speed and blow away up to Free Spirit. Now, the blow away up is actually really nice because when you hit, you knock units back and allows you to just keep going with a nice roll-on of attacks. On top of that, if you get below 50% HP and use his special, not only does he provide a provoke on himself, level 5 guard and defense, but he applies a counter of 4 times his attack for 30 seconds, plus giving himself level 11 attack up. He gives level 5 attack and defense to the rest of the team, but the level 11 to himself means that these counters just start killing stuff, and it's not even fair. On top of that, with Nami Karina, they have the ability, when you have like any of the Straw Hats on the team, which you do, they give level 3 defense down to all enemies, and their special does a 40% CT reduction to 2 enemies with the highest CT 2 times. So they'll do it 40% CT reduction, and then they'll pick another 2 units at the highest CT for another 40%, on top of lowering their defense by level 4 at the same time, which is just, it's not fair. When you have the enemy hitting for normal attacks on Zoro, he kills stuff. Everything dies. Odin can do massive action binding. He's great in terms of his passive for Psy, but mainly he's here because all of his passive, the good parts of his passive, are for free spirit. So he works exceptionally well. But you can easily replace him with something like Roger. You can even run like Yamato on this team as well, if you want to do some fun stuff there. But as for the bottom team here, this bottom team is more if you're going up against driven powerhouse builds. And when I say driven powerhouse builds, I mean like more of, say, you know, like there's a quick team and they've got a lot of driven characters. There's a Dex team and there's a lot of driven characters. You've got that strength build that has a lot of powerhouse characters like Kaido and the new Luffy. Well, this works quite well because then you have Kid Law, who's lowering the defense to these units. Then you have Nami Karina, who's lowering the defense. And then with their specials, they're lowering more defense. So then the counters of Zoro basically just melt units. It's so disgusting. It doesn't matter how much HP you have. When you've lowered defense that much, you don't even have to worry about it. But you can easily replace Luffy Yamato here with the 6+ Luffy. He works quite well. You can even run Odin over Sanji, but having Sanji going so frequently means that Nami Karina can keep going so frequently, and you can just continuously lower the CD of the enemy and just put yourself in a really, really good spot. Personally, I like running the top team, and then I'll bring in Kid Law if there is more driven or powerhouse units, but Odin is just so damn good that I just love running this top team, and in my opinion, it is the best team in the game, and Free Spirit are definitely the pinnacle of PvP at the moment. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you agree with any of this? Do you disagree with any of this? I love to know your thoughts and opinions. While you're down there, though, don't forget to belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's